Welcome to the OTC B&D, Brian, Denny, Tool Hour. And what we have today is synthetic body tools. Synthetic, not made of metal, which is blowing your mind right now. Why? Why are we doing this?
Because I don't know why we're doing it, Brian.
We're telling them.
We're telling them. What we're doing this for is we're doing this for the panels on vehicles. These tools can be used on both aluminum and steel, but we recommend not using them on the same panel. If you're going to use these on a steel panel, just use the set on steel and buy another set for aluminum. There's aluminum body panels are getting more and more popular in the market now, and there's a lot of concerns about cross-contamination of the steel to the aluminum or aluminum to steel. So the OEs are recommending, and so are we, that you buy a separate set of tools for aluminum bodies or use them for steel bodies also. But what they're made out of, they'll withstand the pounding on of steel. They don't mar the steel, and they're soft enough for aluminum where they won't damage any aluminum either.
Over here on this side, let's start with some of the dollies.
These are some dollies used. You hold them. They got the flat spots to hold in your hand, and then you can form around a panel. You got a bigger version and a smaller version, just to fit around an aluminum panel and just do your forming whatever you need to do on it.
These are actually nice weight, and I think they'd be pretty good for even, custom fabricators that are working on aluminum, doing custom bodies, race bodies, or hot rods like we do. We do a lot of aluminum bodies around here.
It's amazing how this, with whatever the material this is made out of, is very strong and resilient, that you can hit on it and it comes back and it fits in your hand really well. These are just some shaping anvils, some dollies, so to speak, that you'd use to shape a panel. Basically the same thing as we showed you before on that other piece.
They almost feel like a kind of a heavy Delrin. Now, here's a blunt, this is kind of a blunt shaping. Sometimes if you have a dent, like in a negative panel, take your hammer, knock yourself in. You can also go on the opposite side and flatten out by pushing.
Perfect.
And a nice radius on the other. You could probably use that.
Perfect.
This, in theory, the 2485-1, this is kind of to hold a door. When you're putting your bolts in, you can't hold anything because it's sitting up into the panel, so you can kind of push up, get your bolts started, move it around. Same on the backside.
At least gets it started before you get to your fine tuning.
And what body man doesn't need a sword? Why do you have a sword in your body tools area?
Well, in case you have somebody that really upset you during the day, it really shapes them up. But no, it's a chisel basically for after you cut through your spot welds and you need to split that panel. You take that out and reverse it the way you showed before, because this is a sharp edge on here, and we do that just to protect the technician's hands. And you can hit that with a hammer, and it splits your panel apart.
Yeah. So those of you that don't know, you can take a spot weld driller. Here are some that OTC offers. This one's got a nice little point in the center, and then has 3 flutes. So you basically put in your drill, center punch, or drill an initial hole, and go in, knock off the top layer. Then you can come in and some of these need to be chiseled back out. So that's kind of a nice feature to have.
And now, speaking of the center punch, now instead of, a person thinks of center punch, they want to grab a steel center punch. It's the synthetic style center punch that will work on aluminum, or if you want to use it on steel too. But then it'll, in that center punch, put a divot in there to start your hole.
Look like a big crayon. Let's go draw with the kid. The kid's the one supposed to be drawing at the dinner table. Usually I'm the one doing it. All right. So here's some more synthetic kind of chisels that you can use.
Forming tools.
Pretty common in the automotive industry.
Trim tools for popping trim pieces off. This one here is really pretty cool, Brian. It's used for like if you replace a windshield that's been in an accident, or even a lot of times when you take a windshield out, you'll bend over that piece of the 2 pieces of metal that come together in the body. This has got I don't know if we can get in on that, but it's got a slot in here that fits over that hem, and then it goes along and you can straighten that hem out so that you're sure that you get a nice seal when you put your urethane down to put the new windshield in.
Same with this. And what is this little guy?
It kind of has some grip on the back, so if you're getting into a panel, it'll kind of hold so you can pound up against this side and it won't spring back on you. And then it just kind of fits in, plus you can raise it up and down. Yeah. Rambo.
These all have like really weird looks to them.
These are wedge tools for aligning a panel up, or if you need to kind of get down in and pry a fender way down in. This has got a handle on it. Here's
In case
some
your wife locks her keys in her car, you got
yes,
a wedge in there
yes,
a little bit.
That's right. That's right.
And
Or
you guys even have the door
unlocking
door
tools.
unlocking tool set.
Yep. This
That,
also,
they're going to put that at the bottom right now.
yeah, right down. And you know what this also works for? If your wife locks her keys inside the car, well, she's inside the car. You can get her out. So.
Hopefully you just call her, tell her to unlock the door. Now these hammers are really nice.
Yes,
I like these.
They're kind of cool because you think of a hammer, especially in the body business. There's all sorts of shaping hammers and different sizes, but here again, a hammer is made out of some kind of a metal. So here's a synthetic hammer. So when you're tapping on that panel, you're not driving steel into the aluminum.
Yep. And just a little tip on on a lot of these pieces. You know, if you get a dolly like this from the factory, a good idea is to kind of radius these edges so you can put it on a belt sander or however, whatever kind of sander you've got, knock these corners off, and that way once you get in behind, you start working some of your panels, you're not going to have these sharp edges. But anyway, I mean, come on. That's just one release of the OTC tool line.
That's right.
That's just one release.
One release.
What are you guys doing over there? Like, there's always like a pile of new tools coming out. So go to otctools.com and check out all the new releases they've got. It's every year.